Why focus on breathing? Well, there are a number of reasons why you would do that. Because first of all, breathing's a way of connecting to practice. So, for instance, if you want to do a punch and you want to stabilize the body, there's a breathing out, which provides a stability. Now you can focus on the punch itself and hitting with ferocity and aggression and focus on that as a drive. However, that can be quite self-destructive and counterproductive in many ways because it doesn't add to your sense of achievement. It's a superficial way of charging the system to focus on that aggression. However, the breathing, the deep breathing from the nose to the belly is what will support strength and concentration. So there are ways of breathing from the tip, the bottom of the spine up to the top. So posture. Now obviously the posture that supports the breathing best is a straight spine. Now it doesn't have to be rigidly straight because there's turning, there's extension, there's compression, but there's always a connection, a connectivity from the bottom to the top. In yoga, breathing is focused upon as a way of connecting to practice. Now, if you breathe correctly, that doesn't mean you're going to automatically be able to actually punch or do anything. It's possible to focus on breathing and do everything wrong. So, of course, it's a way in. A way into an intuitive form of practice which doesn't rely on outside instruction or feedback from the environment outside of you so much. Obviously, you might say, well, if you punch someone's lights out and they get knocked out, it's an effective practice that you can rely upon again and again. However, the damage you might do to your own well-being and to somebody else's is arguably not going to create a very stable individual that will support practice in the long term. I would say, personally, that if the practice makes you stronger, more healthy, and more robust, then it can't be said to be wrong. The moral side of things comes into it because it's a difficult one to discuss, because obviously there's not a moral side of effective combat and war. However, anyone's capable of just blowing up in that moment and hitting somebody, so it shouldn't be a worthy goal particularly in itself. It may have some practical necessity, but it does upset the system if indulged upon, this aggression, without any self-restraint, control or moral sense. The holding of the breath. The punch is released at the very end of the breath, like an arrow is pulled and released at that last moment of the out breath. If you hold the breath out, it encourages deeper breathing for one, and it allows you to feel a connection because the breath is no longer circulating, so it leaves a sense of emptiness, which is of course what particularly the Tai Chi spiritual practitioners were looking for. It left us some clues there, because emptiness is a nothingness, is having no thing to focus on, because you're empty. Now you'll feel when the breath is held out for a few seconds from time to time, you'll actually be able to find a very deep connection and sense of feeling within the core and all the centers. So this is worth thinking about, to just feel rather than be preoccupied with some physiology. In the posture and breathing, there is a sense of the head being lifted by the golden thread. This is what they call it in Tai Chi. It can be helpful to think of the head pushing the sky. That allows you to become actively involved in elevating the head, which of course supports equilibrium, because between the ears are where the balance converges and controls the bodily aspect of balance. The inner ears are the center of balance. The throat and neck should be long, stretched, pushed forward slightly, tilted forward slightly, in order to support the head and stretch the spine. The ears are for listening, but the center of inner listening of the cells in the body, the body as a whole, it's said to be in the throat, the Vishuddhi chakra, as they call it in yoga. So by switching off that sense of looking at the outside of things and overthinking technique, if you just listen to your body, you'll find all these things can be felt, because listening isn't just for audible sound, it's listening to the wisdom of the body. And interestingly, the neck chakra is said to be the seat of wisdom, to feel all these things. So this is a good area to think about. It's known as the third ear, in fact, in the throat. The diaphragm, there's not enough time to go through everything here, but these are some points. The diaphragm thrusts down, pushing the intestines down. This ensures a connectivity within the abdomen and a link to the lungs and obviously breathing. Now if you exhale and hold it slightly, it encourages more oxygen to be taken back in, and if you hold the air in sometimes without then breathing out, this encourages greater extraction of oxygen. Unfortunately 10 minutes is all I've got on this YouTube video. Inhalation, exhalation, retention. It's worth saying that the daytime one inhales less than they exhale, which is worth thinking about. The lower spine is lifted as well as pushed forward in this action. You should feel a sense of tightness but relaxation in the lower back. These are all things you will gradually notice as you become more in tune to that subtlety. Now, of course, the breathing isn't the thing to aim for. It's a way in. It's a foothold to the very subtle dimension of nothingness, which is not nothing, but it's to do with feeling the energy, which speaks for itself and is the real goal beyond the visible.